The O'Reilly Factor's on tonight.
We must all stand together to stop Iran's march of conquest, subjugation, and terror.
Israeli leader Netanyahu delivering a powerful speech in front of Congress, a speech that puts President Obama on the defensive. We'll have no spin analysis.
I believe in transparency. I believe in taking responsibility.
The New York Times breaking a huge story on Hillary Clinton that she used her personal email account while Secretary of State and did not hand the emails over to the government as required. Brett Baer is looking at that.
I'm ready for a country that puts our Constitution on the top shelf, every part of it.
Also ahead, Dr. Ben Carson has a big announcement tonight. He'll make it here on The Factor. Caution, you are about to enter the no spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. President Obama under tremendous pressure over Iran. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Today in front of Congress, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered a very strong speech telling the world that the country of Iran is engaged in a reign of terror.
The greatest danger facing our world is the marriage of militant Islam with nuclear weapons. To defeat ISIS and let Iran get nuclear weapons would be to win the battle but lose the war. We can't let that happen.
And Netanyahu says he won't let that happen. If he is reelected on March 17th, he says Israel will take on Iran alone if it has to. All of this especially vexing because the nuke negotiations are so complicated. The Israelis believe what John Kerry is suggesting in Switzerland is dangerous because it allows Iran to continue to hold nuclear capacity. Others dissent from that point of view. But give Netanyahu some credit. He says what he believes in a vivid way, while the Obama administration does not, staying far away from publicly debating the merits of what the USA is offering Iran. In fact, 58 Democrats boycotted the speech today and then hammered it after it was delivered.
This speech was straight out of the Dick Cheney playbook. This was fear-mongering at its ultimate. Phrases like essentially saying nuclear war is inevitable if this deal were to be accepted.
Almost all the Democrats who did not show up are far-left folks. We'll take a look at that shortly. Now, Talking Points believes Iran is a dangerous country and would likely violate any treaty the Obama administration signs. It's almost a given. But world order can be bolstered by talking with the mullahs, as we are doing, talking with them rationally. Simply walking away from the table would be bad policy. President Obama should address the nation and the world and lay out what he believes is a fair deal. Let's see it so we can evaluate what's in play. Then Congress should vote yes or no. And if the Iranians don't agree to a fair deal that Congress endorses, then draconian sanctions should be immediately reapplied. And villains like Putin, who don't go along with the sanctions, should be exposed. Right now, the world needs clarity. Netanyahu spelled out the danger very well. Now we need the most powerful man in the world, Barack Obama, to step up and persuade us his offer to Iran would stop the nuclear madness. We are waiting, Mr. President. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction joining us from Washington, Dennis Kucinich, a Democrat. Here in New York City, Wall Street Journalist column Brett Stevens. What say you, Mr. Stevens?
It was not only an eloquent speech, I think it was a very effective and clever speech because it highlighted the deep weakness of the deal that we think we know is being hatched.
Which is what? Just so everybody, even I, can understand the weakness of the deal. What is that? Okay,
number one, this is a deal that Iran can very easily cheat on because they're being allowed to maintain this robust nuclear infrastructure. Number two, and this is more critical, even if Iran doesn't cheat on the deal after a 10-year or so period expires, it gets everything it wants with no legal restrictions on what it can do.
But the president says that that's not true, that there'll be wording in there that they have to do X, Y, and Z. So we really have to see. But Netanyahu, I don't think he wants a deal with Iran on nukes. Am I wrong? I just get the feeling he doesn't want the deal.
Well, what he was saying, and I'm going to
strangle them. He wants to reimpose sanctions and strangle that government. Just break it down.
Well, what he understands is that we are never going to have real assurance that Iran will not become a nuclear state until the regime changes.
Right.
And I think one of the effective points he made is he said, you know, if Iran wants to be treated like a normal country, it can start acting like a normal country. It doesn't need...
But that's not going to happen until they're overthrown. But I think you just hit it, that Benjamin Netanyahu wants the Iranian mullahs to be overthrown, wants us to reimpose sanctions, to strangle the economy so everything falls apart. That's not exactly compatible with American interests right now. All right, now, Dennis Kucinich was at the speech today, correct? You saw it, you witnessed it. What was the main weakness that you saw?
The main weakness was that Prime Minister Netanyahu didn't really discount in a definitive way why Congress should object to this agreement. Let me point out, the IAEA, for example, isn't saying that Iran is pursuing nuclear weapons. U.S. intelligence and the IAEA are not saying that Iran diverted nuclear material for the purpose of weapons. And the nuclear...
yeah, but now you're getting into it too micro. Look,
it isn't
everybody
micro.
knows they'll cheat if they can cheat. You know it.
Bill,
I know it.
this
Mr.
is about
Stevens
facts.
knows it.
It's not about spin, as you say. You know,
it's about facts, but there are no facts on the table yet. We don't know what the deal is.
Well, the National Intelligence Estimate, which we pay attention to because it's like 16 different intelligence agencies, is saying that Iran stopped pursuing a bomb in 2003. So I say, let's keep the negotiations going forward. We're better off with that than leaving Iran to its own designs.
Mr. Stevens reply.
Hang on. What Mr. Kucinich is saying is simply not true, okay?
What isn't true?
In 2011, the International Atomic Energy Agency released a comprehensive report. You can look it up from November of 2011, explaining what an elaborate program, weaponization program they had. And just in the last few days, the IAEA has said publicly that Iran is stonewalling agency requests to look into what they call the possible military dimensions of their program. They are obliged to comply with IAEA
okay, but
requests.
Again, now we're getting into really micro stuff that people can't evaluate because we don't know what the deal is.
Well, they're cheating.
And they will cheat. Everybody knows they're going to cheat. And that makes it very tough not to walk away from cheaters. Now, Dennis, would you, if you had a choice of war or letting Iran get the nukes, what would you take? Because I do believe that Netanyahu, if he's reelected, he'll go after them and he'll bomb them if President Obama continues to dither around. I think he will. So if you had that stark choice, if you had that stark choice, war, bombing, or let Iran have a soft deal where they could just cut them right in whenever they wanted to, which would you take? Be honest.
That's not the choice, Bill. I reject that.
Which would you take?
You could say, be honest. My choice is to say, stop them from reprocessing plutonium. They said they would agree to that. Stop them from building any facility to do that. Keep the enrichment to 3.5 to 5%. They can't build a bomb. I mean, we're working in that direction. You know, I seldom agree with President Obama, but on this one, I think the Obama administration is taking the right direction. They're trying to come up with an agreement to limit Iran's nuclear options, and at the same time build an agreement that maybe we can get some help from Iran in dealing with ISIS.
All right. You see how hard it is? You know, folks watching TV, they're not like you. They're not experts. They don't have all these reports, and you and Kucinich are citing. They don't know. People don't know what to believe. They know we know Iran's a bad country.
Right.
We know that. Everybody knows that, okay? We know they want to have a nuclear weapon because then they become more powerful. So everybody knows that. But nobody knows the micro of this deal. It makes it really hard for the folks to decide. I mean,
Look,
based on.
You don't worry that France has nuclear weapons because it's a responsible country.
And Israel, too.
And Israel or the UK. But you worry that a country that took our hostages in '79...
You don't have to convince anybody of that, Mr. Stevens. Everybody's worried about them.
What you don't want to do, first of all, I do think that you can have a deal because the Iranians, with oil at $50 a barrel, are in fact much more vulnerable than this president claims. And the question is not a choice between diplomacy and sanctions. It's diplomacy and sanctions. They are part and parcel of the same thing. Right. You ratchet up pressure so that you get better concessions from Iran.
This is important. Congress is going to have to okay any deal, right?
Well, if they should insist on it.
Right. And Congress is going to say, look, you're not going to make a deal unless we sign off on the deal, Mr. President, because they'd have to use an executive order.
Well, and that's just the thing, because by trying to avoid Congress, which is what Obama is trying to do, he weakens what he's trying to achieve, because the next president can override the order.
Congress, we all have to see what the deal is, and Congress has to vote. That has to happen. If that doesn't happen, I mean, all hell is going to break loose. Hey, gentlemen, good debate. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next on the rundown, 58 Democrats boycotting Mr. Netanyahu's speech, as I said. Most of them far-left zealots. We'll have analysis. And later, Dr. Ben Carson says he has a big announcement to make. You'll hear it right here. Doctor's coming right back.